Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring Overthinkers Society. Thank you. Guys, is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from being your best self? BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own professional therapist whom you can start communicating within 48 hours. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 15,000 plus counselor network. This is not a crisis line. This is not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. BetterHelp service is available worldwide and you can log in and send a message to your counselor anytime. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone calls with your counselor so you won't ever have to sit in that uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to giving you great therapeutic matches so they make it easy and free to change your counselor if need be. It is more affordable than traditional offline counseling and financial aid is also available. There's a special offer for Overthinker Society listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Suli. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of a professional. Okay, before we move on to the podcast, I just wanted to give you a last notice that Overthinker Society podcast has now launched as a separate YouTube channel. After this one episode, I am going to be uploading all the new episodes, plus some little snippets from all the videos to only on the new channel for Overthinker Society. So please go to the link in description and subscribe to Overthinker Society podcast if you want to support and if you enjoy listening to the podcast. Thank you. Now let's move on to the episode with Ariza. Ariza is an artist and producer whom I've had the pleasure of working on several tracks together, which have yet to be released, but will in the near future. But I've also had the pleasure to just speak with him and ramble on. Ariza's a fellow overthinker like ourselves, and we had a great time just rambling on. Please welcome Ariza. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Enjoy. Do you guys get mosquitoes over there in LA?
Not much.
Okay.
I would say. Is it crazy over there?
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And like especially the mountain mosquitoes, they're a beast. They literally will like rip your arm out.
No.
Once you get bitten by a mountain mosquito, you'll get literally like another mountain on your arm. It's it's just savage.
So intense.
Yeah, I brought up mosquitoes only because yesterday night I couldn't. I feel like I always make up excuses why I don't get sleep, and I'm just being straight up insomniac all the time. But yesterday,
have you tried melatonin?
Melatonin didn't seem to work. Somebody did mention like magnesium or something.
Okay.
Which I haven't tried yet. I have not tried melatonin. I might. But I feel like I'm already like taking too many pills.
Oh no.
I feel like stacking anything more on top of it just might be a little too much for my body.
A cocktail of craziness.
I know. I mean, having said that, I am part of I'm a passive member. I don't really take active part in it nor read anything too much, but I am part of the nootropics subreddit on Reddit. So
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my gosh, they talk about they go into some crazy shit in there.
They go into some crazy shit.
Yeah, very scientific, I would say. Like some are very like, scientifically speculative. I don't think any of them are scientists on that subreddit.
It's just speculative at most.
Yeah. Like, bodybuilders or something like that.
Oh,
but,
wow.
I am quite fascinated about that kind of stuff. I'm not going to lie.
Great. That's awesome.
But no, I have not tried melatonin.
You should. You were like halfway through the mosquito story.
Sorry. Oh, yes. Yes. Yesterday night, there was yet again another beast of a mosquito flying around in my room. And, that annoying sound. Zing!
Oh, that's
it's the most annoying thing in the world.
That's the worst. Yeah.
That, woke me up. So I was annoyed that it woke me up. And I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night until like I fell asleep like just reluctantly at like around 6-7 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my
But
god.
but I don't. The end of the story is that I didn't end up killing the mosquito. I think it might be still flying around somewhere in my room. But I'm not upset at it anymore because you know why?
Why?
It bit my feet. And I love it when mosquitoes bite my feet.
What? Why?
I know. It's such a grotesque and weird thing to like. I know. Call me a pervert. Call me anything. But I still like it. I love it. It's like, have you ever gotten a mosquito bite on your feet?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, yeah.
That euphoria almost. Okay, I don't want to sound too perverted.
Is this serotonin
yes,
in your brain?
I know it's like extra itchy when you have to like hold in the scratching.
The itch,
but when you do, the euphoria is like no other parts in your body.
I get that. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
It's not very foreign feeling to me. I just did not know I'd think of that today. That's amazing.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a thing, you know? Like I wonder if like there
be a thing.
Yeah, it has. I wish I can find somebody else someday.
There's probably a subreddit for sure.
Maybe subreddit. Our mosquito bite feet. Yeah, I feel like that could be a thing.
Wow.
That could definitely be a thing.
Yeah.
If it's on Reddit.
So.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna actually like if such a thing doesn't exist on Reddit, I'm probably gonna make my own tonight.
You gotta mobilize your peeps.
I'm gonna open up my own little
make it happen.
Community of mosquito bite lovers on their feet. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be one of the biggest subreddits on the platform.
Gotta climb to the top.
Yeah, we're doing it. I'm gonna be the Jesus of it.
The Jesus
of
the mosquito feed queen.
That's my mosquito story.
That was incredible.
I felt graceful enough not to chase it down and kill it instantly because it was instantly forgiven as soon as I found out that it bit my feet. Wow. I'm like, you are forgiven. You are allowed to live in my room. You
can live now.
Yes, you can live now.
I'm obsessed with the covering of your mic. It's pretty
thank
amazing.
You. I keep telling this story, but it was originally a normal sock over a normal mic, just an orange, an innocent orange sock over the mic, and then people started pointing out that it looks like I'm talking into a penis, and I couldn't deny. I can send you a screenshot of it if you want, but
that's amazing.
You won't be able to deny it. It really did look like a penis, and I was too embarrassed to like reply to those comments.
Well,
so I
did the right call.
I did.
It just looks like
it looks cute, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks cute.
Yeah.
It's a cute microphone.
I also noticed you're not using a mic. What is it? Like one of those pop sockets.
Little pop filters. No.
Yeah. On yours, do you not bother?
I have one around. I don't bother.
I let it pop.
I let it pop. No, I guess it's gonna be a lot of going back and forth. Probably not gonna be the greatest quality of recording in the world, but
no, it's fine.
I think I like to live my life on the edge without the microphone popping.
Yeah, live a little more, you know? Just let it pop. Let it be.
Let it pop.
It's part of life. Popping is part of life.
Popping is life.
Popping is life. Actually, this is a little bit of a technical question, but are you one of those people who I think the answer might differ depending on the kind of sound that you're aiming for, that you're trying to record, but are you usually one of those people who record like literally like the mic is literally like you're about to kiss your mic,
Like
or
eat the mic.
do you
yeah.
like kind of like to have a distance between when you're recording songs?
I used to be insanely close, and then my mixing engineer yelled at me way too many times. Shout out, he's the best, John Resin. But it was so many times of him being like, no, stop, that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try. And then I've been like taking slightly more distance now. But I'm quite careless when it comes to recording.
Really?
Like,
Careless?
Yeah, careless. Yeah, I'm very like, meh, like it's fine, just put it in front of it, and then like hopefully it'll work.
Really? I mean, listening to your songs, one wouldn't be able to imagine that you are, because they sound impeccable. Maybe your mixer is a magician.
Oh, he's the greatest. He's awesome. I mean, I feel like between him and I, it's like a good kind of like complementing strengths, and he understands that like my jankness is part of the sound. And I mean, as I keep going, like I keep figuring out how to make things better quicker.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like there's something inherent about like the no thought to it that I think is really important creatively. You know, like the moment there is like too much thought, or if I'm
you're
like
overthinking.
sitting, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I actively try to not when I'm creating, you know, because I feel like that'll just derail the whole thing big time. You know, it'll be a thing where it's like I don't want to be the guy sitting in a session playing 15,000 snares and then seeing which one is gonna be the right one, but I'll just be like, meh, like.
Yeah, intuition, man, intuition.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you work with your mixer like in person or remotely?
Remote, for sure. And he gets me too. So I think we'll get to a point in the mix, in certain mixes, where like we call it very many different ways, but I think I call it like the crazy Juan shit, which is like around like mix 5 or 6, there's just some shit that I start hearing, cause he starts he's so great. He starts fixing so many things that I realize mistakes that I did along the way, and then it's like me reacting to those mistakes and being like, okay, how do we fix those, and how do we get rid of those? And he's just, at that time, it's like when I sit with him on Zoom and I go, what's that Scooby-Doo sound that is happening only here at this time? And then we have to just go through and see which sounds combined create that strange kind of like psychoacoustic effect.
Yeah.
That makes me want to tear my head off. Because if it's like one of those things where it's like, I know I'm being crazy. Like, I know I'm being insane about it. But if I don't talk to him to fix it, it's just gonna ruin the song for me. So he's incredibly amazing and gracious to like get on at that time, and then just kind of work it out until I'm like, okay, great, we did it. So yeah.
I've got so many questions that I want to ask you about this. Okay, before I forget, how has it always been this way remotely, over Zoom calls and emails, I'm assuming, and like transferring files to each other?
With him? With my mixer? Yeah, always.
Always.
I like it too, you know, because I feel like I think mixing is such a watching paint dry process that like I would not, if I were mixing, I hate mixing. If I were mixing something, I wouldn't want anyone standing behind me kind of like, hey, what do you think about that? Like it doesn't feel like a very creative process in the moment of like I feel like the first stretch, like in a lot of ways that we work and that we communicate, it's a thing where if it's a song that I'm doing with another artist that I'm like kind of doing a dual release with, I'll do the first, or like even if I get hired and he gets hired and I produce and he mixes, because we do a lot of tag teaming that way too. It'll be a thing where he'll send me the first mix, and then I'll pass through like a set of notes, either one or two, until I'm like, okay, great. The artist should hear it now, and it's to a point where like maybe there are a few things that I still feel about it, but I know that the artist's like thoughts on it are gonna help me fill in the blanks of like what it is that we need to get it finished, you know?
Right.
But it's always been remote with him, you know?
I agree with you 100% on that. Mixing is like not a fun process. I still mix my own songs.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, I mean, I don't think I do an amazing job at it still. I'm still.
I think you do. I like
thank
how
you.
your stuff sounds.
I mean, most of the times I'm just being, you know, I'm having one of those like imposter syndromes when I'm just like, I'm just being a paranoid about my own work.
Oh,
but, you know,
always.
I'm like 99% of the time. Yeah, I'm just not happy with the stuff that I did. And mixing, especially, I feel like is something that I lack in a lot. But also, one of the reasons why I don't bother getting a mixer is because I just couldn't be bothered to, like, that process of, like, sending back and forth stems. Those are, like, gigabytes after gigabytes of files.
Yeah.
And like importing, because I work on Ableton and nobody seems to work on Ableton. So it's like, importing it into a new DAW, and it's just like, it's just so cumbersome. And I'm like, I'd rather just mix on my own than to like have it sent back and forth.
Now I have like a few questions for you, because you said there was several things that I thought were interesting. So you have imposter syndrome.
Yes. Yes.
Same.
I would say so, very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I guess the question is, like, in terms of, like, in your because you have various skills, you know, and you do, like, you're kind of, like, what I love about your artistry is you're hands-on in everything that you're doing. You're editing your own videos. You're writing your own music, you're producing your own music, and it's all feels super like you. Is there something in terms of like all of those different skills that you have that you feel like you have the least amount of imposter syndrome, or is it pretty across the board for you?
The least amount of syndrome is in I'm feeling most confident about it over anything else, you mean?
Yeah.
I would say like editing points. So like not necessarily in terms of like cinematography or how professional a video looks. I'm not like that. And I'm going to admit I'm not passionate about cinematography. I don't care about the cameras that I use. I don't care about how fancy this cinematography. Oh, what a sexy, what a sexy resolution. I don't care about that kind of shit. But I do feel like when it comes to the pacing of the editing, like I know exactly what I want. So like I would have multiple shots that I've taken, and now it's time for me to snip and
like
cut and paste. Slice things up and put it into a sequence that makes sense, right? And I feel like my strength lies in, you know, knowing when the right moment is, when the scene should be changing, what scene should it change to. Those kind of things aren't necessarily the process that I love and enjoy the most, but I feel like I have strengths in, I think.
Which one is the one that you enjoy the most?
In terms of like editing or just
being that you said like that's not the process that you enjoy the most, but that's the one that you feel the most confident in.
Yes.
Which process is the one that you enjoy the most?
I would say I I would say like recording songs
Okay.
and producing like not mixing but
Right,
producing
right.
and
The
recording
creating
songs.
part of
Those
music.
two,
Yeah.
those two I
That's
would say is
great.
the most enjoyable.
It's super cool. I love seeing artists that are like fully all hands on deck on their own shit. It's super fun.
But
I
you
feel
are
like
too.
I guess like I I'm trying, you know. I think it's a thing where like it's a part of like the whole circle of things that I'm kind of doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like I don't know if I'm going to have to slow down a little bit with it because other things are kind of picking up, but
Yeah.
I love it. I love every single part of it, you know. I don't know if I feel like confident about it. Like it feels weird because I feel like there's one part that feels like I'm like, okay, this is done, but it's like as far as it's gonna get and as done as it's gonna be, and then I'm just kind of moving on always. So I don't know, but I just find it fun to do everything, you know. I think like it can I think it can be a good demonstration of what it can be, you know. Like the true artistry of someone is like if they're the one that is kind of like behind every single piece of art that they're making.
Yeah.
You'll see the sauce, like you'll get the sauce. I feel like more than like kind of like seeing like a whole like machine of human. And I feel like I do think that it's important to have a set of, like a team, you know. I think it's like for me it has been instrumental to have someone like my mixer or someone like my manager kind of like help me out with the things that I don't have the headspace for. But in terms of like the creative of it, I feel like there's something really fun in at least like practicing or seeing artists that are kind of like putting their like dipping their feet into like different things, like the visual parts of it or the sonic parts of it or the creative, just fully the creative parts of it.
I agree with you. Like it's fun. It's really fun to be able to juggle different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's healthy, you know, in a way, because
for sure,
when you're focused so much on like this one thing, it's so easy to get into that, like, you know, the whole tunnel vision thing where you just start to overthink a little too much on an unhealthy level about that one thing. And I tend to do that with like music, where I like to be an imperfectionist. Like I don't want to be perfect in my music. And once I start to get too much into it, I find myself getting a little too paranoid.
When do you decide something's done for you musically?
I think it depends on the intent of the song. So like if it's some form of a collaboration, then I feel like I'm more open to like just being more flexible to when the song is going to end, because obviously it's a collaborative thing. So I want this to be a fluid kind of process where me and my collaborator would decide when it is the right time, when it feels right to end it. But for me, like when it's like a personal private project, like I said, because I mix and usually master as well, like all of my own songs, so I'm like 100% in charge of making and finishing a song from beginning till end. I would just kind of try to trust my guts as much as possible. I don't feel like that's a really good answer, because that doesn't really answer anything.
I think I agree. Like I'm with you. I feel
intuition. Just it all comes back to intuition.
You just decide, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Same.
And I actually have to sometimes tell myself before starting a song, or even like midway through making a song, that okay, so don't get greedy. Don't get greedy.
Okay. Cool.
Don't get freaking greedy, because it's just it sometimes you overdo it. You can overdo it. And it just becomes a bit too much.
I think it's the easiest thing to mess up a song. Messing up a song is the easiest thing.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. Truly. Terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that where I learned it the hard way, where I learned where I realized that I need to be saving multiple work files like along the way, because if you put all your eggs in one file, then you're fucked up when you realize that I want to go a step back. And man, there's only so many control Z's that you can do in a project.
I do alternates on mine.
Yeah.
Are
those called alternates? Like you save your process, like like you save games, like
even exactly. Even on Logic, there's a setting where you can save as an alternate. Yeah. And especially for like when I'm working for other artists, I'll get notes and they'll be like, do this, do that. And then I'll like put in 5 hours or something, send it, and then they're like, wait, that's like, now we don't want that. We want it what was before, And then it's like, okay, do I retrace my steps back? But doing the alternates, I can go, okay, boom. It's saved to where we were, and then we can take that,
Yeah.
I feel like it's the most easier time-wise. And then it kind of relieves a little bit of the pressure of like having to, I don't know, like be really meticulous about like what steps you're taking. I feel like it's fine to just kind of charge.
I feel like you can be a bit more bold when you're like, I've got that backup, so I can just
fine.
Go
crazy. Yeah.
I actually do have like files where it's like named when you save as like a new file. It's like, I finished the mix before, so this one's experimental as fuck, so I can just go like bollocks with it.
Yeah, that's great.
And, those files end up being better than the one before, but you can never be too careful with these things.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. It can be scary.
It can be. My file organization skills, man, it had to improve over the months because I learned it the hard way again. But just like multiple times when I couldn't find like the original stems or like the original recording or the working file, like so many times, and I'm like, I got scolded by my team a bit in the beginning. you need to like keep track of your files a little better.
I have my stuff super organized. I know where everything is.
Ooh.
I have to. And I have like, right now I have like from hard drives that I can count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hard drives.
Oh my god. Desk. I have one.
I'm a data hoarder for sure.
I think that's a thing for sure.
Yeah.
That you can easily get into in this day and age.
I need to. Part of me I need to. Like what if someone like comes back from a song I did 3 years ago and says, "Hey, I need the files." You're not going to be like, "Okay, like good luck." Like I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
No, I have to have it just in case. You never know.
I'm curious. So if you have like 5 hard drives, how long did it take you to collect that much data? Like I'm assuming it's like 1 terabyte each or something.
Well, okay, so they're not all packed. It's like some of them, like I have that many just because I have different libraries of like sounds and shit, and like I have externals running libraries. So not everything is inside of the computer. I can like save some of the space on the computer by having the like complete, like the stuff from Complete or like some like Spitfire stuff, like the heavy stuff. I have some, and then on like there's some others are clones of those in case they fail, because if I have a session or something and one of them craps out, I need to be able to switch it quick if that ever happens. I'm just an anxious human.
Has it ever like actually
Yeah,
happened when
it
your
has.
hard drive would crash,
Yeah.
and then you just
Yeah.
didn't have. Oh wow,
It's crapped out.
that's when
It's
you're
crap-
like, hell, this is what I have been hoarding
This
these
is what I've
hard
been
drives,
waiting
baby.
for. My
Yes!
life is amounted to this place and time.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's what makes it all worth it. Because you're like, okay, boom, I have it, no worries. It's fine.
Wow.
Even if my computer explodes right now, I have like 2 time machines of different times. I like give my parents in Colombia a hard drive of stuff just so that they have it in case the world explodes, and then I can.
Wow.
I'm very intense. with
Okay,
this
now
shit.
I'm feeling like I need to start doing the same thing. Do you find that having met other producers and other artists, is that like the norm? You think? Is that like
my mixer has like racks on racks of hard drives too, of like, well, because he needs to have like archived hard drives, you know.
Oh
So-
yeah, like
so it
stuff that
needs-
he's worked on. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, or if someone goes like, hey, I need like more broken down stems or of something, like I'll come back a year after and be like, hey, can you send me stems? And he'll be like, sure, but I need to get my other drive of stuff, you know. Which same with what I have, you know.
How do you spend a significant amount of time like organizing files then? Or is it more kind of like default, like it's in your kind of
I do it as it
muscle
goes.
memory?
I do it as it goes. I'm really, in terms of like session organization itself,
Yeah.
I'm a giant mess.
Oh.
So like inside of the projects is just like you'll hear like a cat sound and there's like 15 tracks of the same cat sound like processed differently.
Yeah.
And it's all scattered, and I'll have like 15 different like lead vocal tracks with different like effects and volumes. Like,
sure.
so I'm pretty disorganized in that sense, but when it comes to like song naming or like file saving, like as soon as I start a session, I'll name it, like I'll have a naming system for it, which I feel like I've seen other people do, but
Yeah.
I've seen them do it in different ways, and I'm like, I don't, like, I've seen other people kind of like name it the date, and I'm like, no idea how I would know what the
What
fuck
it
that
is.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll like gear it towards like if it's a song that I did with a friend, like with a writer called Kole and an artist called, like, I don't know, Abigail, then I can do like Kole, Abigail, Ariza, and then the name of the song, and then I'll divide things in version numbers, so it'll be VS1, VS2, VS3.
Sure.
If they're not done, if the bounce is not done, or like there's like, I don't know, we still yet have to cut some vocals, or like the form isn't done, I'll name them PROG, like prog 1 or prog 2 as in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And until like there's a first version where it's like, okay, like this is kind of done-ish, now let's think about how to finish it, you know. That's when I'll name them VS and so forth.
VS as in
Version.
Oh, I see. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I picked
Oh,
that
wow.
up from a friend in school.
Version. Yeah, I've never used that acronym before.
Yeah.
Oh, it might
It's
come
prob-
in handy.
I'm pretty sure, like, it's a best friend of mine. I'm pretty sure he made it up, but like it's been kind of a running joke since college. Like one of like our favorite teachers we all had, like, it was like a very tight crew of people, and we were like friends with this teacher too, who was one of my mentors, and we'd all call him VS5, you know, because like the teacher was like, what the fuck, why is this called VS5, you know? And then from there on, I've just named them like that because it, like, I know what it is, you know. And then it's easier if I'm communicating with an artist, if they go, well, I like the previous one, I'm like, okay, which one are you talking about, 2, 3, or 4, or like this or that.
VS2.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, great, I know what you're talking about, and we don't need to be like figuring it out if there's gonna be like a miscommunication or anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's all pretty straight up.
I feel like I need to kind of learn from that and kind of get into the same habits myself as well. Because I'm one of those people who still, after having, multiple occasions where I just was confused the heck out of which file was which, where I just have like, this is final. Oh, this is
final
to
this
be
is final. It's done.
Version. Yeah. 638. This is the final. And then the last one just like it radiates desperation. Like, please let this end. Please
kill me. End this.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's great. It communicates emotion and the moment, and it resonates. Sure. I can find files, no problem. But like when 6 months have passed and I need to revisit it, I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. And I'm opening, I find myself opening like 10 different Ableton files.
Oh, no,
like,
no.
One
That's
after
terrifying.
Another.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
No.
It's your biggest nightmare, it seems.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty big. I feel like, you like, at least even when I've been working, like, it's fine if it's for me. Because
sure.
I can be held accountable, and if I messed up something, then I can just be mad at myself. But if there's a label involved, and if there's an artist involved, like, I need to be really careful and conscious. And I also feel like a naming system, like the one that I have, not to like be like, yeah, my naming system, but like, what that helps me do is it also like relieves a little bit of the pressure of calling something final, because I feel like nothing's ever done, and just saying that something is done can be a little bit detrimental to actually finishing the thing. So I think that's why it's just like open-ended, and I'll have usually a track record where it won't go past like 7 at most, or like 5 is for like something a little bit more crafty. It's like 5. But being that they're usually done on 1 or 2, it depends, it depends on the artist. But like for me, it's usually done in like 5.
And are you talking about like not necessarily features, but where you have like actual clients of you being the producer of a song?
Yeah. I think that'll be like I won't go past 10. It won't go like that, because we'll get there sooner, I feel like. And if it needs to be that's fine. I'm a very, it depends, and it depends on the artist, but I feel like the most important thing, at least if it's not something for me that I need to, it's a service industry, so I need to cater to what it is that they're looking for and to what it is that they want, or for them to be like, okay, yeah, it's done, and I can be like, great, cool, you think it's done, I think it's done, boom, we're done, this should go to mixing now, or like that kind of shit.
I'm very curious about that kind of world, because I've never been in a position where I had a client as a producer. I've only been someone who has been co-creating with another artist or producer, not as someone who is there as a on a service level. Okay, I'm here to provide you these tracks that you can then make your song, how do you, is that a nature that you enjoy, like being in the back?
I love it.
Do you?
That's how I started, basically. I feel like me making my own shit and being an artist later, that was a very later on kind of thing. Or not very later on, but I guess like a few years in between, I wasn't really putting out my own shit. But I was usually just wired to be the producer, or like be the collaborator that would help kind of like the artist find what it is that they're looking for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I love it. I think it's great. I think the reason why I also do my thing, and one of the reasons why I started doing my thing, was to understand the artist better.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. Cause it's fucking hard world, and it's a tough process, and there's so much emotional investment in it that I wanted to be at the other side, and I wanted to feel like what it's like to be vulnerable, what it's like to get a mix back and not know what to do to it, or if it's done or not, or like me talk about my own shit. You know, I feel like that's something that I think as a producer is crucially important to do, because it'll make your process to dealing with the artist and to providing the artist what they need so much better, because you'll get it, you know.
That was such an unexpected answer, Juan, because actually what I expected was the reason why I thought you kind of turned to also releasing your own stuff under your own moniker is because I thought there was some sort of an outlet that you needed, something that you thought was lacking and felt a little almost like frustrated about working with clients as a producer. So things like, you know, I have these things that I want to fight for, and I can't necessarily do that when I have a client to satisfy. So therefore, I'm going to turn to releasing my own stuff to just have my own ego and let it be, you know?
Well, what you say, I think there's a part of what you say that is true as well. Like, I don't think those two things are exclusive. And like in the creative world, there's so much of like the ego baked in to everything that we do, and how we communicate with other people, and how we experience art as like in comparison to how other people experience art, or how the client experiences art. But I mean, I think it was a result of both. You know, I think it was a result of like, okay, I want to see the stuff that I'm doing out, and I want to have control, you know? So part of it was I wanted to do that so that I could have control over what I was releasing, you know? Which sometimes, like, working for people, you won't see a song come out in a long time, you know? Like, you'll see a song come out a year later, and it'll feel quite old or quite different from what you're doing in the moment. But I feel like me choosing to do my own shit was both a combination of like, okay, I want to see how it feels, and I also want to have control, and those two things coming together. But I also think, like, kind of like jumping off to what you were saying, it is a service industry, but I also think that the reason why I do my own project too is it's my business card as well, you know? So like if I want to work with someone, I'll just be like, hey, like if you dig my shit, let's work together. Here's what I do. And it's very, like, I'm kind of a little bit all over the place musically. Like, I don't really have a niche of stuff. Like, I love pop music. I love experimental stuff. I love film scoring. I love, like, music overall. I'm a musician at the core.
And it translates to your portfolio for sure. I can hear it, the diversity in it. It's great. Yeah.
I like to have fun with it. And so for me, having my own shit too was as a way to be like, hey, this is what I do. And then if someone calls me to help them with their thing, they'll know that even if it's a service industry too, I'll do my best to inform the song as best as I think that it can be, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a dance, you know? So like I understand for sure that only my like experience of what the song should be is not just the right thing. Like, but I feel like the artists that also hire me and that get me to do some of their stuff, they will also trust me to be like, hey, if you are not vibing with this, like, let me know. And I'm also very not precious when it comes to doing shit. When it comes to doing shit overall, I'm not very precious.
Yeah.
But even more when it comes to someone else's song, it's not mine, you know? But if I feel like it's gonna be retroactive to the song to do a change or something, I'll speak my mind.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll say, hey, look, I think this, and I could be wrong until we try it out. Because obviously, like, the only way to know is do it. But if I have a hunch of, like, something that is going in a certain direction and I know that it's going to be detrimental to the song, I'll speak my mind. So it's not really like I'm ever like,
they're not complying with my
exactly.
style.
I have to have an outlet because I'm not doing. I feel great and I feel happy with what I'm doing and with what I'm putting into, like, that's the most important thing for me. Whatever thing that I jump on and whatever thing that I get called to do or whatever thing that I accept to do, I'll give my 110%, regardless of what it is, just because I feel like that's what it should be, you know?
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, I hearing your explanation and your kind of rationale behind it all, it certainly doesn't sound like it's your ego talking. It's from a place of genuinely wanting the song to come out great. You're just utilizing your expertise, really, rather than you being this kind of body of ego being like, I'm the producer here, so I'm digging this song at this style, and you have to comply with me. It's not that. It just, you know, when you're saying something, when you're speaking out about your opinions, it's because you know it's gonna do some good for the song. Then
and it's also accepting when I'm wrong too. Yeah, you know, it's being like, hey, like I also try to, like, in sessions too, never be like your idea or my idea, or like the moment that is said, there's sort of like a keeping score that starts where it's like, oh well, my idea worked and yours didn't, or like I never want people to feel like every single idea is valuable, and depending on the time and place and depending on how long it'll take to achieve the idea, there's sort of like a meter of like what I'll gravitate towards, and if I don't, I'll speak my mind. But if they it's a dance, it's all a dance, and I like, to me it's about the collaborator, you know, that I'm with, because I can do my own shit by myself. And I do it a lot, and I enjoy doing it, but I also feel like there needs to be always, like, whenever it's a collaboration, it's just not mine. It's like the room's, and it's what's happening in the place, and it's what everyone is reacting to, and like how comfortable everyone is feeling, and it's all like it's all really weird. Like, we're literally talking about us making things that make the air wave and our hairs in our ears like vibrate at that same fucking shit, and people feel things. That's just weird, you know?
It's weird, but that's the beauty of it. It's that it's this kind of I say the same thing with like fashion, and I'm not a fashion like super fashion person. I appreciate fashion, but I don't know enough about it. But
Right.
what I think is really amazing about fashion is like it's the perfect merge between art and commerce. It's like
Yeah.
or mainstream, however you put it.
Sure.
But it's like I feel like it's the same with music that in that it's not like this like elitist fine art that only a small group of people that can appreciate it, but
Yeah.
it's like everybody loves music.
Yeah.
And there's a business to it. There's a massive like need for it and require what is it demand for it. So
Yeah.
it's like we're doing these crazy weird shit where it's like we're having a dance with like we're doing a dance with different creative crazy people, and yet it becomes this body of work that becomes so accessible to anybody out there.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's really the beauty of it, that we can be artists and still be kind of in the mainstream side of things rather than being like in this little like dark corner.
Not just a niche.
Not a niche at all.
Yeah.
In
We're
terms
all
of the
part
profession.
Yeah.
And the work.
I get it. I feel like there's almost like a renaissance of, I don't know if I said that right, a renaissance of
Renaissance. Yeah, maybe it's a European way of saying it. I don't know.
yeah, of artists.
Yeah.
You know, especially like I mean it's almost oversaturated, but there's a beauty in that too.
For sure.
You know?
It does feel like it's a very competitive world. I can see.
Yeah. It's interesting because it does feel competitive, but to me, I also just think that it's just a different ball game. You know, it's just I don't think there's competition. You know.
Yeah, and
it's a
also
free for all.
It also seems like it's surprisingly when you look into the industry, at least it does seem surprisingly small.
It's a click for sure. It's a click.
Yeah.
It's a tiny click.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the same thing with like design where, you know, it's a massive industry. And yet when you actually like look into it and the people who know each other and who are connected to who, it's the web is very small, smaller than I had ever expected. I feel like I see the same thing with the music industry.
For sure. Everyone knows each other, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone knows each other. It's tiny. It's really tiny. But I also guess it also depends on, like, I feel like now too there's just that's what I find interesting about the day and age that we're living in now, you know, because there is that and there's that industry side of things and there's like all of these people that are kind of like in it and everyone kind of like sort of cross-pollinates in that very small circle, and everyone is just that is in that circle is exceptionally great at what they do, right? But I feel like now it's almost a thing where it's like there's an opening for anyone, you know? There's an opening for anyone because of it's almost like a lot like TikTok is almost like a lottery, or like social media in itself is like sort of a lottery for the potential of being able to break through without necessarily like having hundreds of thousands of dollars to back something and then having it make happen, you know, like it can just happen, you know. People can decide collectively they like something, you know, which is something that I feel like wasn't really a thing even
a few years ago.
8 years ago, probably, like not even a thing.
Maybe, you know, even less, yeah.
But now it's a thing where it's like there's number one songs that are happening because people are just because maybe TikTok is like making them a thing, you know.
I know I myself have started kind of like my career through social media and everything, but I wish I sincerely I truly wish I didn't have this all. I wish I was born in the 70s, just oblivious as frick, just brick phones and everything. I want it all. I wish I had it all, because they lived the golden age. Like, it's that blissful ignorance where you don't know, you don't have to scroll through gazillions of people seemingly living a luxurious bougie life, and people getting gazillions of listeners and viewership. I just wish I didn't see it. I don't need it. I don't think it's needed, but I do it because that is the environment, that is the scene. Not that I don't enjoy any of it, but if I had the option, if I could like go back to my fetus era and be like, oh, hey, you can choose either to be born,
hold on.
like when you should be born, like as I would be now, or you could be born in your mom's generation or your dad's generation. I'd be like, yeah, definitely my mom's generation.
Take me back.
Yeah, for sure. What about you? Do you think you're gonna choose same, or
it's just, I feel like each generation comes with its own difficulties,
For sure, yeah.
Because if you think about it too, like the possibility of being able to make something happen in the industry, even as early as the 2000s, was a completely different game. Like for something to kind of happen, the goal used to be, at least 90s and early 2000s, was like, okay, you just got signed by a record label and you're gonna go into a studio that has the equipment that you have to use, that is probably hundreds of thousands of dollars worth, that you need that quality of, and you need the expertise of all these people that really truly know what they're doing. And we're gonna make your album, and people are gonna consume your album, and they're actually gonna buy it, and the money conversion is eons different of what it is. So,
well, actually, when I told you what I meant when I told you I wish I was born in the 70s is under the condition, like, is given that I'm not an artist. I don't become an artist.
Gotcha.
Like, the thing is, I feel like having been born in this whole generation that I'm in, that the whole scene has almost like shaped my existence, my personality. It all feeds into it, So who knows the type of person and the ambitions and the goals that I would have having been born in the 70s without all the technology that we have now, And I'm not gonna lie, if we didn't have the internet as advanced as it is now, or social media as advanced as it is now, if we didn't have Spotify where we can access gazillion songs in one go, if we had to, like, I don't know what people used in the 70s, CD players or walkie-talkies or something. I don't know if I would have wanted to become an artist.
Wow.
I might have just been a music appreciator and just be a listener and, be content with something else.
I mean, I wish I could say that. I know, like, music is my life, like, it's my, I struggle in the sense of, like, I really attach it to who I am, which is terrible. It's not,
you're a musician.
But I'm
to the blood.
That's the problem, though. Like, I don't want to be what I do, I and I'm working on that. That's a whole nother can of worms. But, like, I understand what you mean, and I grew up like surrounded by music. My parents weren't musicians, but my dad might as well could have been, and he has a crazy ear, and he's like a great music lover, and that's how I've known all the music that I knew when I was growing up. But I just don't see a world where I wouldn't be doing music, you know, just because of how much I just love every single part of it, you know. I just don't see a day where I couldn't be creating, you know, something. It's like it's I find bliss, you know, doing that shit.
So do you think you can confidently say, if you can, make music for the rest of your life?
Oh, yeah, like 150 years old, I'll be there. Whoa. Just like hunched over with spiders in my eyes, making music. Being a legend. Oh God, just a piece of stone still trying to like work the mouse, you know. So I love it. I just love it. It's like my being. It was like back when I was 11, when my parents gave me a guitar, my world just got absolutely transfixed, you know. Everything stopped. Wow. And I was like, cool, I don't care about anything else. I know I need to keep the gears running, so I need to do well in school if I want to keep playing guitar. So my life was like school and guitar and school. And my goal during my whole like adolescent life was like get to the college that I wanted to get to, and being able to get there and being able to get through it. And then after that, going and like moving here.
Music boom.
Yeah, it's just music. Wow. And I mean, I've even like had to, like, I had a pretty bad accident. I think I've talked to you about it.
No, you didn't.
So back in 2019, it's probably gonna be a 2 years now. I fell on like a scooter.
Oh, I think you told me. You might have told me. Yeah. Oh,
and I tore 3 tendons of my left hand. So I basically had to just relearn how to play guitar. And during the whole time that I was getting surgery and I was immobilized for like 2.5 months, I was still making music, you know. And I'm just obsessed about it, you know.
Wow.
I'm like, it's everything, you know. But I also now, what I'm trying to work on and what I'm trying to realize is that it is not everything. And I want to have a life too. And I have a great life with my fiance, who I'm going to marry next year. And
oh my gosh, congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Got engaged back in November of last year.
Oh my God. That's so cool. I'm so excited for you.
She's awesome too. Yeah. She's an incredible musician too.
She is.
She's so good. She's scary good. But yeah.
It's amazing. That is amazing. I mean, the whole like guitar story, relearning guitar, that's like it's one of those things that you think you would hear in like one of those legendary artist stories, like, oh, the man had gone through tremendous turmoil and hardship, and yet he did not lose his passion for music. And it's like, I have such big admiration for those kind of stuff, because I'm kind of still the opposite, where I'm still not sure if I like music. It's like one of those like love and hate thing, where I enjoy it, but there are times when I hate it so much I want to punch it in the face, you know, like, because it's sometimes a painful experience where, you know, you have to like elevate that negative emotion or that very dramatic or intense thing that you've experienced. And maybe this is, I'm approaching it way too emotionally, and I'm getting myself too into it, but it still is really difficult sometimes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I hate it. Like, yeah, I hate it with a passion. I was talking to my fiance the other night.
Yeah.
And I feel like she exemplified it in a way that I couldn't have thought of in a better way. But she's like, look, music and the music industry is like the fun friend at the party. Where if you want to party, it's awesome. And you can have a great time if you want to. And when things are going amazing, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't want to do it, when you're not, like, when you're done partying and the friend is still like, yeah, let's go, or when you're sad and you need someone to count on you, music's not gonna be there, you know, like, in terms of the industry part of it, you know, like,
Right.
It's a very unforgiving industry in the sense of, like, as you say, there can be a feeling of constant competition. There can be a feeling of constant failure. I feel like everyone's, like, gauge of, like, success and failure.
Oops.
I lost you for a second.
Yeah, I'm
Can you
here.
still
I'm
see
still
me?
here. Sorry, my battery died.
Oh,
Freaking
no.
hell. Might
Should
have to
I-
switch to my. Yeah, no, continue.
So, boom, I see you.
Hey,
There she
shitty camera alert.
is. Da-da-da.
Yeah, continue. Go on.
But like, there's just, I mean, I struggle with it too, you know, and I have a big issue too with how, like, the algorithm works and how it all feels sometimes like a waste of time,
Mhm.
and how no one cares, and how, why would they care, because it's not important, you know. It's a tricky thing, but I feel like all in all, if you know that you can't count on the industry and you can only just count on yourself and on, like, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, that's what you can count on, you know. And that's what can be, like, that is what will help through the process of getting through it, you know, because the emotional part of it, in terms of, like, how we are tethered into the machine, it's, I mean, it goes very much tethered into social media and into numbers, and, like, into numbers in terms of streaming, and it all feeds into each other. And I feel like even, like, the people that are inside of, like, the industry also don't kind of have a great idea of what's happening, you know, because the tide is shifting, and, like, it's obviously not even close to the amount of money that the industry used to make. And the amount of artists and of songs is an infinite well that will never stop. So I feel like there can be solace in the fact of knowing that if you can just be yourself, so much so that it's on. That's why I love your artist project too, you know, because no one can do Sue as well as Sue can do Sue, you know. So
True.
it's like, it's just undeniable that it's you, and that it's you being on it, and it's you making all that shit. And that's what I tried to do with mine, where it's like, I want to do it because I love the craft.
Yeah.
And I want to get better at it, and I just want to do it because I love doing it. And if it intersects with people fucking with it, that's cool. If it's not, and if that doesn't happen, then I know it's goes so beyond me, you know. And I won't say that, like, I care, you know. I care a lot, and I feel like shit all the time, and I feel like I'm not doing enough all the time, and I feel like I'm not good enough all the time. But yeah. But I feel like at least there could be some moments where I'm like, you know what? Fuck, I just love it. Like, the moment of, like, being in a session and, like, saying something that means something, or saying something that people will I have a hard time being like people, like how people will people will react to, like, I'm like, if I feel something, cool, like people can decide if they fuck with it or not, and people can decide if they grab it. I feel like it's kind of egotistical in my own way to be like, oh, I want people to
like
feel
like, what I feel.
Yeah, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
I know I have no control over that, but
I
if I
mean,
can just be myself, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's great about being an artist, that you essentially write and make something that's true to yourself, and you put that out there. It's your baby. It's a part of yourself. You put a little part of your soul, in it, and you put it
Yeah.
out there, and there are people who dig it. There are people who don't, you know?
Yep.
And I do feel like there are times when an act or their work becomes this kind of body of work that is like a collective thing, and it's like it's all about the money, it's all about what's popping, it's all about what's trending. So the artistry and the kind of pureness of the music sometimes does get lost in it. But for most of us, I think it's like that's the beautiful thing. You just create another like baby of yours, and you put it out there for people to just enjoy or not. If they don't want to, if they don't fuck with it, they don't fuck with it.
No one cares. Ultimately,
no one cares enough about you that you think you do. I think that's something that I try to remind myself as much as possible, because it's like it's that ego in us being like, oh my gosh, oh, they're gonna like, be angry, or they're gonna be annoyed that I did this. Nobody cares.
No one cares.
Nobody cares.
No one cares. Unless you're hurting. Like, like, I feel like you draw the line. It's like, if you're hurting yourself or someone, then it's like, okay, that's where I draw the line in art, you know. But don't let other people be. Just, you know, if you're just being yourself. But if you're I get it. Second, triple, overthink. That's why we're here.
Overthink. Full circle.
Dang.
Listen, this was fun, Juan. Like, it's
amazing.
Always fun.
Super fun. Always great to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
So
Thank you so much, Juan. This was fun.
Of course. I'm gonna stop recording on my end.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop as well.